Hey, this is David Rovics with a song for today. One songwriter's take on the history of the world, one song at a time. Available wherever you get your podcasts. In the wake of the global financial crisis and the accompanying housing foreclosure crisis and mass suffering of the working class around the U.S. and much of the world, the main response by the U.S. government and other governments was to bail out the bankers. The basic conditions that led to the crisis in the first place were not really changed. The system bailed itself out, and the system came out on top, again, predictably. The ruling class maintained its rule at the expense of the working class, and the bailout we gave them was explained as necessary to maintain the banking system, which had just failed. On September 17, 2011, 3 years after the collapse of the major banks back in 2008, folks had plans for a demonstration on Wall Street in Manhattan. There had been many other demonstrations on Wall Street, but this one was different. When people were mass arrested and beaten by police, they came back. The media started paying attention. What might have been a one-off event in Manhattan became a 24/7 occupation of a park at the foot of the skyscrapers. Within a couple weeks, similar encampments were springing up throughout North America and many other countries. In the U.S., they were usually somewhere very close to the feet of the skyscrapers in a financial district near you. Occupy Wall Street, or just Occupy for short, became a meme, short for taking over a physical space and holding it until something changes, basically. A tactic as old as land reform, the commons, the squatting movement, which has taken many forms and been described in many ways, but which always has in common a fundamental challenge to the ruling elite from the grassroots, with a question posed by the seizure of what we could call symbolic patches of land. Whose world is this? The answer posed by Occupy was simple. It is a world owned and ruled by the 1%, but it should belong to the 99%. These two numbers spread as memes in a way they had never done in living memory, and soon a serious discourse around wealth, poverty, and inequality took shape in the U.S. media, despite the obvious problems with the media almost wholly owned by billionaires and vulture capitalists playing host to any such conversation. The Occupy movement that took over parks across the U.S. and held many of them for weeks and often for months was eventually beaten back through a combination of police violence, the onset of winter, and the weight of the problems of poverty, addiction, mental illness, and homelessness that confronted the often idealistic young organizers who had taken to the streets. The parks may have been cleared of tents for now, but the ripple effects of this movement are still being felt.
Because this is where they buy the politicians. Because this is where power has its seat. Because 99% of us are suffering at the mercy of the madmen on this street. Because all of us are victims of class warfare being waged on us by the 1%. Because these greedy banksters rob the country, leaving us without the means to pay the rent. Because the last time that we had a decent government was about 1932. Because we the people are supposed to run this country, but instead it's all run by and for the few. Because now we know the rich do not pay taxes, but when they need a hand it's us who bail them out. Because we suspected we lived in a plutocracy, but suddenly of late there is no doubt. So we're gonna stay right here. We're gonna stay right here. Because both my parents lost their savings. Because I have never opened an account. Because the interest on my credit card just doubled, and now I can't pay the minimum amount. Because these budget cuts are just immoral, with our schools as overcrowded as they are. Because there are no buses where I live, but I can't afford afford to drive a car, because so many of us don't have health insurance. The rest of us have it, but it sucks, because the rich are flying in their private jets, while the rest of us are slogging through the muck. Because capitalism isn't working. This system has just failed to produce. Because the 1% are prospering, while the rest of us just suffer their abuse. So we're gonna stay right here. We're gonna stay right here. Because it has been demonstrated amply that the winners are the ones who stick around. Because this world should belong to everyone, not just the banksters who had smashed it to the ground. Because we've noticed voting doesn't change things when the politicians are mostly millionaires. Because we're learning how to stand up like Tunisians, like they did in Tahrir Square. A young man named Mohammed Bouazizi struck a match that lit up all the earth, and all around the world the spell was broken, and a movement for the future was in birth. Because there's only so much the rich can feed us before we figure out which side we're on. Because we've learned if we want our liberation, it will only come if we stay here till the rising of the dawn. So we're gonna stay right here. We're gonna stay right here. Because corporations are not people, and we can't just let them choose. Because if we leave our fate to them, then all of us will surely lose. Because the climate clock is ticking, and we can't just leave our world behind. Because corporate rule isn't working, and it's time for humans' hearts and minds. Because you can't take it with you, because the rich just do not care. Because it doesn't matter how much you make, but how much you can share. Because these moments don't come often, because we want truly to be free. Because we know what really matters, something called society. So we're gonna stay right here. 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 We're gonna stay right here.
This has been a Song for Today from David Rovics, making popular education popular again. If you go to davidrovics.com, you can hear lots of other episodes of this and other podcasts, see where I'm touring next, and get on my email list. You can also click on CSA there on my website and join my community-supported art program, which is mainly how I get by in the free streaming era. I hope to see you sometime soon again here on the internet or on the road and hopefully in the streets.